Are you new to investing? Wondering whether or not you can self-manage your properties? Let us tell you about our partner, RentRedi. RentRedi is an awesome property management software that can help you grow and handle every aspect of your real estate investing business. Rent collection, tenant screening, maintenance, lease signing, listing. Honestly, RentRedi has everything.
One of the best features is their new tenant software, Latchel, where you're able to remove yourself as the landlord from being the middleman between tenants and maintenance calls. And it's also essentially a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for property management.
Let me also mention that RentRedi is unlimited. All their plans are flat price. This means you can keep adding properties to your portfolio without having to pay more. You can close on all the properties you want, and RentRedi's price stays the same. Best part about it is for you guys is they've given us an amazing deal to pass on to all Weekly Juice listeners. You can get 50% off any RentRedi plan at rentredi.com when you use our code JUICEPOD. That's rentredi.com, rentredi.com with code JUICEPOD, JUICEPOD, and you'll get 50% off any plan. If this is your first time here, welcome. During our shows, we interview successful entrepreneurs and investors to spread knowledge, advice, and actionable tactics to help others in the pursuit of financial freedom. We discuss successes, failures, systems, motivations, experiences, and key lessons learned along the way in the hopes that these stories help you along your journey. Tune in every Wednesday to get your weekly juice. If you've been here before and like what you've been hearing, please subscribe, share with friends, rate and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That goes an extremely long way for us. It's simple. Just click on your podcast app, type in our podcast name, The Weekly Juice, click on the reviews, and let us know what you think. The more ratings we get, the more eyes we'll get on our show, and in turn, we'll be able to provide you all with high-quality guests. You can also find us on Instagram at Weekly Juice Pod for daily content and personal finance tips to assist in your journey towards financial freedom. Welcome back to the Weekly Juice, where we talk real estate, personal finance, and entrepreneurship. As always, Ryan and Corey here with another episode for you. Today we had on special guest Sharon Tseung. She is a millionaire by 30 through real estate investing, and she built over 8 different passive income streams online. So a bunch of different e-commerce businesses. She has built her social media presence going up from 60,000 to over 100,000 followers on Instagram. She has just about 200,000 followers on TikTok. And we're not bringing this clout up to throw the numbers out. She really provides informational and actionable tactics that people can use whether they want to go into real estate or build online businesses. So we will definitely plug her handles, and she's someone you definitely want to follow. But throughout the show, we shared her story and how she, built herself up and reached millionaire status and now can travel the world working wherever she wants.
Yeah, she's a really cool story because she actually just went to travel kind of without a plan, and then ready, fire, aim type thing, and then figured it out how to build these passive income streams. She talks a lot about how she did it through marketing, Etsy, Amazon, drop shipping. We focused on real estate investing because her portfolio has grown with her and her significant other to over 20, I think just over 20 units now. So we dive into some markets that she invests in where she gets a lot of cash flow and for not a big down payment or big, purchase price area. So let's bring in Sharon. Very cool story.
Sharon, officially welcome to the Weekly Juice. Corey and I are thrilled to have you on the show. We've been following your story for a while, and thought it was finally time to share with our listeners and just show them all the awesome things you're doing. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So if you could just for those who don't know you, give a little background on who you are, basically where you're from, and kind of your expertise in the investing and entrepreneurship world.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Sharon, and back in 2016, my whole story is I quit my job, traveled the world for 2 years as a digital nomad, and built passive income streams, online businesses and stuff like that. And I started getting into real estate investment as well. And now I kind of teach people how to do the same, teach people how to build passive income and create financial freedom for themselves through my YouTube, my Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. I guess we want to start with the whole inception behind the idea. You mentioned it. You're saying it pretty cavalierly, I have all these businesses, passive income, real estate. For a lot of people, that's pretty intimidating. So first of all, how did the light bulb go off for you? What was the inception of the idea to get started in all this?
Yeah. Back in 2014, I traveled for like a month around Europe by myself. And I feel like that opened my eyes a lot of what I was missing out on in the world. And I was, going to my day job, seeing the same four walls every day, and just like, man, like I want to figure out how I can create that financial freedom for myself so that I can, leave and travel when I want to, or, work on some creative project or something like that I was passionate about. So that was kind of like the moment where I was like, I need to figure this out. And then I started stumbling upon like different books and different blogs. I studied so many different resources. And I even took like 2 other part-time remote positions. And I started, building my wealth and trying to figure out how to build passive income streams. I was doing online businesses mainly initially, like Etsy, blogging and stuff like that. And then I just like booked this one-way ticket to Stockholm 6 months out. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out basically. And I just gave myself that deadline and, did all that. And then I figured it out. I just left, and that's basically how it happened. I just jumped right into it.
So you kind of did it by like forcing yourself to do it. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, we always talk about, or we have recently been talking about this, but like upping your timeline to like give yourself a shorter window to accomplish goals. And for you, I guess this was a 6-month window. You just booked a one-way ticket. Did you essentially say like, I'll have all my businesses set up at this point so that I'm free to go travel here? Or like you were going to go as soon as you landed in Stockholm, then start your own businesses out there and have to sustain yourself while you're far away?
Yeah, no, this took like a while for me to build up those passive income streams. So like I only started making like $100 a month or something like that passively. And I was like, it should be okay. And then I like just went out there, but I had booked 6 months of travel beforehand. So I knew I was like financially going to be okay. And then I had those other part-time remote positions. So I knew that would be like, okay. And then my full-time position decided like they needed me for some part-time work too. So then I just had these 3 different remote part-time things going on while I was building those passive income streams. So, by the time I started traveling, I was just slowly building those passive income streams, but still had, the work that I could work on and make some money there. And then I fully transitioned to passive income as I was traveling.
Cool. Can you give just listeners, I'm not sure if you're comfortable with this, but like what types of positions those were for you being remote? I think a lot of people nowadays, especially with like COVID and everything going on in the world, they're like, hey, listen, like I know it's important to me and it's my time and I don't want to spend it looking at those 4 walls every single day. So I'm curious of what your, potentially like 3 different remote positions were if people wanted to maybe transition like you did.
Yeah, I mean, all of it was around marketing. So I had been working in it for a few years. I'm still working on it today. Like I'm still working full time now. I actually came back and took a day job because I actually wanted to afterwards. But yeah, so I think the positions were like designing ad creative, actually managing ads for another client and things like that. So I would say marketing is like a good one to get into if you're trying to get into remote work. Also maybe coding or graphic design. Like these are all good positions to try to get into if you're trying to work remotely.
Sweet.
So I'm curious, we always like to ask the definition of like what financial independence means to you. I think I want to move into I want to talk about your 8 passive income strategies, right? Because I know you like to share that with people and they're all pretty diverse. But first I want to talk about like financial independence in general, because kind of everyone has a different definition. And I'm curious what it means to you. And clearly you were able to attain it in not that long of a time in reality compared to how long it takes people to retire from a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that essentially it's just your income covering your expenses, but I feel like some people have different definitions in a sense of like how much they want to live off of. And like, there's like lean fire and fat fire. And I think, when I was traveling, I could have just done that the rest of my life because I was spending like $1,400 a month traveling, which is insane.
That's
like
nothing.
that. Yeah. Like that was including everything. So, especially like I was in Chiang Mai and I was spending like $600 a month there. So it was like, okay, I could just like chill and save money. And even like while I was doing that, but But yeah, I decided to come back. I wanted to build something bigger. I wanted to learn more. And I wanted to have that like fat fire where it doesn't really matter where I am. Like I could just be super worry free. I think a lot of it for me is like peace of mind. So it's not about just like making a ton of money. It's just more like, I just want to be worry free. I can have a family and like not worry about it and spend like as much time as I want with my family essentially. So just things like that where, you're creating time for yourself. You're creating peace of mind for yourself.
We think that's what it's all about here. And we've recently changed our goals to I think a lower number of units for we typically are trying to create passive income through real estate, right? That's our main goal. And we're looking into all other ways to do it as well. But we're realizing like at the end of the day, like we definitely don't need to be billionaires. Like there's absolutely no reason that we would need to be billionaires. Yeah. And being multimillionaire would be great. But like once you know the number that you need, then anything on top of that is like icing on top. So very cool. I appreciate that. The next thing I want to talk about is like your 8 income strategies, your 8 passive income strategies. Can you walk us through those 8? Maybe there's 9 by now. I'm not sure, but what are they? And just like a tiny brief introduction on each of those.
Yeah. So when I first started, it was Etsy digital products. I was basically selling Photoshop templates and Microsoft Word templates. I'm still cash flowing from it to this day. A lot of like these online businesses, I actually don't touch as much anymore. And then I'm more focused on building the brand and the real estate side. But yeah, like Etsy, it still cash flows me. Essentially, it's digital products. So you don't have to store inventory. You don't have to ship and fulfill orders. Like it'll just do it automatically. So it's very passive in that way. And then, I have the real estate, 13 rental units currently. Combined with my boyfriend, it's 20, and we're in escrow for another 2. Another one is, course sales. So like education, essentially. I have the free content out there, but if they want to get the step-by-step tutorials, they can get my Etsy course or my blogging course or my real estate course, essentially. Then I have Merch by Amazon, where it's like basically print on demand, where you can upload digital files of like design files, essentially for custom apparel. So if people order from your Amazon listing of like a shirt or whatever, they will print and fulfill your orders for you. So it's like super passive that way. They just pay you out in royalties. Sorry, I'm just walking through so many different ones.
This is great.
Good. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Then there's Amazon FBA. Basically, you work with manufacturers and they send over product to the Amazon warehouse. And whenever you get orders, they will fulfill your orders for you. So it's kind of passive in a way where like if you find a winning product, you can just keep shipping orders over. I feel like I haven't been working on that as much lately, but I kind of want to get back into it later on. And then there's the blogging and YouTube ads. So you get ad revenue from having a YouTube channel, having a blog, and then affiliate marketing. So I promote a lot of different products that I personally recommend and use. And then there's, dividends. And then also I have some like Kindle books that I had like, I dabbled into that a little bit. It doesn't make that much money, but essentially those are essentially like all the passive income streams. And then like actively it would be my full-time work as well as like sponsorships and stuff like that for my channels.
Seems like you have a lot of free time in your hands. Yeah, I can't, but oh my God, that's insane. Like all those things they seem like just a crazy endeavors to take on, especially with having a 9-to-5 too.
It sounds like, I was going to say, it sounds like a lot, but a lot of it was built like a long time ago kind of thing. So it's like now I have a lot of them that I kind of set it and forget it. So like Etsy, especially, and Merch by Amazon, like it still cash flows, but I haven't touched it in like a good amount of time. It's just, like for Etsy, it might just be like responding to customer inquiries. But I think that's like the beauty of passive income. It's like you build it in the beginning and then it just doesn't take that much work to maintain afterwards.
So outside of real estate, because we're going to probably go heavy into that. As you know, that's kind of our favorite thing to talk about here. But can you, like, if someone was interested in building a passive income stream and it was their first one, right? Like, what would you recommend? Which direction out of your like 8 or 9 would you recommend they go into just to set themselves up and maybe get a taste for like what it actually takes to be an entrepreneur like that?
Yeah. I think each one has like different kind of criteria. I guess it's like, I would say that you should kind of evaluate yourself. Like, how much time do you have? How much capital do you have? What your strengths are and what you're passionate about. So, you know, some people might be better at writing, or some people might be better at design work, or talking in front of a camera. So it like kind of depends on what you're comfortable with. So I would say like, you know, Etsy and Merch by Amazon, it's pretty low capital to start. So if you don't have that much money, you could, you know, try that. Like real estate and Amazon FBA may take like more capital. It kind of depends how you approach real estate, for example, but stuff like that, you'd have to kind of evaluate and see what matches you best.
Cool. And I don't want to skip over this. You said you dabbled in Kindle. Are you telling us you're an author too? Is that what you mean?
Oh, no. I would basically hire like ghostwriters and like have an outline, and then they would write it, and I'd put it under pen names and stuff like that. And I just tested it a long time ago, and it worked, but it was just something I wasn't that into. But some people were making like $40K a month, just like pushing a bunch of these books out. Yeah, it's insane.
So someone else writes the book for you and you just have the idea?
Like you would outline like what you would want the book to be about, but it just didn't feel that comfortable for me, because it was like, I'm not even writing this. Yeah, a little bit. So, you know, some, you know, people are making like, you know, strong outlines, or researching and doing all this stuff and giving it to, it's not like it's completely like sketch or anything like that. If you're doing it the right way, if they're writing it, and
you'd be in big trouble if you were a rapper. They found out this ghostwriter. It's not good.
Yeah.
Not really, dude. Not really. He's still, it doesn't even matter, right?
I know.
They're the ones making the money. Like,
are you talking about our boy Drake, dude? Come on.
Yeah, well, don't talk shit on my boy, you know?
I think, no, I would never. I love him. So also I will say it's just cool to talk about these, because there's so many different ways you can make money actively and passively. So it's cool to share these. We haven't talked about much. I guess we haven't dove in on the Amazon FBA. The Kindle thing's cool, especially, and also Etsy. I think that's an endeavor too to take on. A lot of people think you have to like, I don't know. Like I'm thinking of like random stuffed animals or t-shirts or like cups with like monograms on them. It's really cool that you can make a digital product and just keep selling it. Right. It's already on there, and you can tweak it over and over. But if you're creative, that's a move for anyone.
Yeah.
Listening.
Also with the Kindle books, like people are selling paperback and they're doing like lined notebooks, but they're just changing the cover to be like designed all cute or whatever. So like you can literally turn those out. You don't have to write anything. You just put a bunch of those and start making money too. So there's a lot of different ideas.
It's a whole world.
Exactly.
Like, it's a whole world that like once you hear about it, it's like, I mean, for us, it's addicting in terms of the passive income. We really gravitate towards real estate, but like just talking to people like you, it's like, it's a whole new world of just different ways to make money that people never, you do not have to, if you don't want to sit in an office all day, you don't have to sit in an office all day. It really just depends on how badly you don't want to sit in an office all day.
Pretty much. You know? I mean, yeah, I was like super obsessed with it when I started doing it. I think now building the brand is like definitely my focus, because it's just more fulfilling. You know, when I was coming back, I was just like not feeling that fulfilled. I was like chasing these numeric goals, and I was like, I want to have more of an impact. So now it's like actually providing a lot more value, in my opinion, and building something. And then the real estate, for sure. Like since I was young, I always wanted to like own properties around the world, and it just feels nice now to be like building, essentially.
I'll tell you what, Sharon, I just got back from Miami, and my girlfriend and I were talking, and I was like, I'm 100% buying property here. Like to have that kind of geographical arbitrage, right? Where you can just be anywhere and work from anywhere. And like, today it's possible. So I think that's next what we want to talk about, just your real estate investment strategy and how you got from 0 to soon to be 22 units. What's the best way to explain how you scaled your portfolio, and maybe just talk us about, you know, the beginning stages of it?
Yeah. You know, it's also funny what you said. Like I just came back from Vegas, and we have the same mentality, and we're actually like talking to an agent trying to get a rental there now. Cause
you don't want to see, I have Miami real estate Zillow pulled up already. I was like, I'm really getting started, but like partially not serious, but also like knowing that in the next couple of years, like this is possible. It really is. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's all good. So for me back in 2013, I got my first, investment, and it's basically an hour away from me. And it was just at a good time. Now it's appreciated like crazy, like maybe almost 400,000 now. So it's like insane. So that one was the first one, but I feel like I wanted to get into out-of-state investing for the longest time, but I felt like I was just scared. I didn't really know people elsewhere that I could talk to like get it all going. So I just like paused on it for a while, but I would go to a bunch of meetups. I would read books and listen to podcasts and everything like that. Actually, so I started dating my boyfriend like in 2019, and essentially he's a real estate investor as well. He did some out-of-state investing, and I feel like he kind of made me more comfortable with investing out of state. And it's like, here, like, let's like start hitting up agents and start talking to PM companies and everything like that. So after that, we essentially, I invested in Texas. I got a fourplex and then got another single family home that I found on Bigger Pockets for like 23K or something like that. So insane. And then we focused on a different market in Georgia. And we're just buying like single family homes. I got a package deal like recently, and then I'm getting a duplex currently. So 13 of those units, have my name on them. But then like just looking at, my boyfriend's in my portfolio, it's at 20. So I'm not technically at the 20, but like,
we'll tell the people. It's fine.
I feel like we're a unit. So essentially, yeah.
Well, we had a goal. So Corey and I, just to kind of catch you up to speed what he was talking about earlier, we had a goal on a number of units, but then we realized it doesn't truly matter about the number of units. It's all the cash flow that they bring in, right? And the potential appreciation play. So for you, do you buy properties for a specific cash flow number, or like, why do you target a specific area?
Yeah. Well, the area that we targeted, basically we were looking for income growth, population growth, job growth, lower crime rates and things like that. And it felt like a market that had appreciation potential. And just like the entry point was so low, like we were getting properties at under 100K for different properties. The cash flow is good. Like the cash on cash, like a lot of them were getting over 20%. So it's like pretty awesome. Like our target's maybe like 10 to 12. So yeah, the numbers are really good. So I think this is like a good market for cash flow. I think it doesn't appreciate as fast as like my Texas ones, and like definitely the one here. Like I would say the one I bought an hour away is probably like my best investment just because of appreciation. I think ultimately like appreciation is what's going to get you like a lot of like build equity, right?
The
like
FU money.
Essentially, yeah.
There you go.
But I like cash flow in a sense that it just feels more secure. Like you have more security. So that's kind of our goal right now, to build up the units to get the cash flow essentially.
Yeah, we talk about cash flow as like a way to create freedom for yourself. Now, you're not going to become abundantly wealthy with cash flow, but what it will do is allow you to leave something that you don't like and spend time doing something that you do like. But the appreciation play is something that really can create abundant wealth. Now, the funny thing about appreciation is like if you don't sell that property, it kind of means nothing. But the fact is that if you look at any chart of real estate over the past 50 to 100 years, there's times where it's went down, but if you hold on to it long enough, it's not a sure thing, but it almost is. So I totally agree with you. The cash flow helps you create the nomadic lifestyle that you have. Yes. The appreciation is just being patient and saying, I'm going to buy real estate and not wait to buy real estate. So can you talk about I guess maybe some of these markets, like maybe you could even walk us through a deal in terms of maybe the amount of money you put down, what it cash flows, and like how you're finding these deals.
So the latest one that we're in escrow for, it's basically around $58,000 or so for a duplex, which is pretty insane as well.
Okay. This market, wow, that's incredible.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like the agent had sent us this deal before. It was already on Zillow and everything like that. We decided not to go for it. Initially I had already bought this like 4-unit thing right before he sent that. So I was like, let me take some time. But after a few months, like it came back on Zillow. Like I thought it had already sold, but it came back on. So I was like, maybe I should look into this. We were literally like at the mall, like just like talking to my agent. I was like, yeah, let's put in an offer. Like let's go for it. So we put in an offer, got accepted. And the rental income's around 850 right now. But I think we can boost it if we fix it up a little bit. So yeah, I think the cash on cash return is like over 20 for this one as well. So a lot of the deals we're finding, honestly, for this market, like you can just find them on Zillow a lot of times. We did have one off market that was listed at 20K and we got it at like 14,750, which is insane.
Where are you buying these places? $14,000?
Yeah. Well, yeah. This one's in Georgia. Like we're currently just like keeping on the DL, like where we're specifically investing, but like,
I don't blame you.
yeah. But yeah, so, it's pretty nice because like with Texas or other markets like Vegas currently that we're looking at, it is harder to like win the deal and like, you know what I mean? So it's nice that this one has good cash flowing properties. And a lot of it's just kind of doing your due diligence in the beginning of like using sites like citydata.com and looking at different factors that make it so that it has appreciation potential or looking for those things and then trying to find markets that fit your criteria.
Well, a couple questions here. I mean, are you buying these for when you hear something like $14,000 or you hear something like even $58,000? I mean, are these properties that are in war zone type areas, or are they just like in markets that haven't seen the wave of appreciation and you're able to still have property managers that do all the work? Because there's a lot of properties that property managers like, I'm not touching that. Like I'm not even going there because the cash flow looks high, but then when you count vacancy and all the potential crime and just like things that go into it, you never end up making the cash flow that you think. So you just, what type of like neighborhoods are these properties in?
Yeah, it's definitely like a smaller town, like less than 100K population, actually. So it's usually better to have like a place with a larger population for sure. But the area is like okay, like it has a state university. Like we looked up things, and it's not bad. So I haven't had issues with crime and things like that. So I feel like it's been pretty good. Like there hasn't been too much vacancy. PMs are like fine with the rentals that we're getting. So haven't had too much issues with that. And totally like if the numbers work, but like the areas sketch and you can run into a lot of problems. So it does really matter where you're targeting and not just going for something that has like, good numbers. If it's in a crime-ridden place or something like that, like things could happen, it can make so much more work for you. So it's definitely better to target, better areas if you can.
Doesn't sound like a war zone to me, which is pretty shocking for the cash flow, which is great. And for the price. Well, so you found a little diamond in the rough there. So that's nice. I will say you talked about PMs, property management companies a little bit. So I think if we could talk a little bit about that. Many of us like under 10 units self-manage, right? And then there's, when you cross over, essentially the thought is you sacrifice a little bit of cash flow, but you're hands off, right? And you only have them call you for a certain dollar amount if something needs to be fixed. Can you talk about, because I know you mentioned now you're out of state and investing in a bunch of different areas, you're a little afraid beforehand to build your team outside of state and kind of didn't know the protocol. So can you talk about building your team, living out of state and investing out of state? And then also like, when you look to hire a property manager, like what questions do you ask? What do you look for? And like, how are you confident that someone's going to handle your property the way you would?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first I'm looking for like agents who have worked with investors and stuff like that. So Bigger Pockets is a great place to look for agents. And that's actually how we found our agents out of state, just calling those different agents and seeing what their thoughts are on like different neighborhoods, like different zip codes. So I kind of start there and I kind of see like how they respond to me, if they respond to me quickly and stuff like that. Same thing with PMs. I feel like I have like this list of questions that I just run through essentially. Just seeing how their tenant screening process is, like the eviction process, like how they handle everything, their fees, how many like units they're managing currently, just like a bunch of these questions that allow me to vet better because I just call a bunch of these PMs that I find online or like through referrals and then see how they're answering. But my favorite way is honestly referrals, because if I have like an agent that I trust more than if they have a recommendation, I usually want to go with that. But I also like to look at like reviews and ratings and stuff like that. And also make sure that the reviews aren't just like from angry tenants or something. So you got to kind of read through and see what they're actually saying. So that's kind of how I vet. Like it's kind of a vibe, but it's also kind of like going through a bunch of questions and kind of seeing how they answer.
Did you make those questions up, or did you find them online and just kind of put your spin on them?
Yeah, I think I like kind of found some online, and talking with my boyfriend, we kind of figured out some different questions we should ask. And
cool. Yeah, I know Bigger Pockets is awesome. They have like a bunch of different forums with articles and people who's kind of cracking heads on best practices there. So I would definitely check it out. If you're a newbie investor or interested, they have a bunch of stuff. So that's a good shout out there. I don't know if we talked about it. I know we talked about a few different deals, but can you walk us through like your favorite deal and talk specific numbers? Maybe you don't have to give it the exact area it is, but I guess maybe your most lucrative or favorite real estate deal and kind of everything involved in it. So that way it gives someone a snapshot of kind of how they can go about it themselves.
I think one of my favorites is the one I got in Texas that I got at 23K. Like I found it on Bigger Pockets, like on the deal section, was able to connect with the wholesaler. It just happened to be in the market that I was looking into. So I was like curious because that was super cheap for that market too. And we essentially renovated. Like, I think my favorite part about it is just looking at the after pictures of what it looks like, because it just feels kind of fulfilling in a way too, like how like nice it looks after it getting fixed up. The great thing about having the PM in place and everything, they can handle a lot of like the renovation work, or like because they have all their connections. So they helped arrange a lot of it actually. So yeah, basically we were able to get the rents to like $895 a month. And, wow. I put in like 33K in renovations. So basically all in around like, I think 58 or something, 58K. And yeah, it's cash flowing well and it's appreciated a lot. In terms of most lucrative, kind of what I mentioned of the one that's an hour away, definitely like just because of appreciation, it's just done really well. And cash flow is very passively, like it's really awesome. And not too many problems. So it's nice.
Did you say the one that was not to like jump back and forth between deals here, but the one that's an hour away from you, did you say that is up 400K in appreciation?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane.
Right?
Since when? Since 1970? What? Like what?
The 30s, dude.
Well, yeah, I bought in 2013. So it's just, the Bay Area is like super hot and insane. And that's why I look out of state, because it's like hard to find cash flowing properties here. So that's like I feel like the benefit of living here, it's like you do have high income, high wages, but then like you can't really find as many deals here. So then it's like, I wanted to use my strength and look elsewhere. Whereas like people in more affordable markets, they have the strength of like, they know their area, they can like start investing right away. So yeah, that's kind of why I started dabbling into out of state.
I think you have like a kind of a, I don't know the right word. It's like a superpower in the sense of like, once you realize that you can invest out of state and you get over the fear of actually doing it, it kind of opens this door to ultimate passivity where Ryan and I invest, let's say we call it an hour away. All of our properties are within an hour. And one of the things that we thought about is like, we're not driving an hour to do anything anyway. Right now we're in the middle of a renovation that we happen to be doing like some of the check-ins ourselves. So we are kind of there, but we call people, we're self-managing, but we call people for every problem anyway. So what's the difference? And we need to figure this out. Like, what's the difference between it being an hour away or 8 hours away or 20 hours away if you're not going there anyway? So it's like, I think that once that fear gets out of your head and once you run the numbers more comfortably with adding property management in there, I think this game gets even more creative and even more passive, especially you, where you probably have a good job in the Bay Area and you can look at other markets. Like, we're in a pretty high price market. $50,000 for a duplex is like, I mean, that's not a lot of money where we live. So it's like that it's just a great aspect of understanding that you can invest out of state.
There's a couple nuggets here too that I want to talk about. It's first off, I like how you mentioned, I know you were talking about the renovation and your property. I believe it's in Texas. And you said like the fulfilling feeling of like, kind of like turning, let's call it like a dumper into like something very pretty, right? Like you just turn around and almost like you're providing that for someone else to live in, which is like you're going from a crappy house to something awesome. Like you're putting a family or someone into a better position, right? That's awesome. But then also you're transforming your own investment, right? And it's a little bit more hands-on, which rather than like the stock market, you kind of like set it and you just see how it goes and then, keep pumping money into there. So I really like that about real estate too. We're in the middle of a renovation now, and like watching us tear apart the walls and like peel off all this like old wallpaper from the 1900s and then having these brand new gray walls, light gray floors, like the whole thing just pops. And that's the cool part about real estate for me. I'm like, it goes from like this disgusting thing to the coolest thing ever that you would live in. And, you can put your own flavor on it. So I do love that. And I just think, the more hands-on you get with your investments, the better. So property management. So we haven't talked too in depth on this. Is like Corey and I kind of, when we run our numbers, we run them conservative, but we decided like, hey, listen, we're going to not hire property management company and tack on an extra 10% of the rent each month when we can do it ourselves. But I love how you said they helped you build your team in an external market. And I'm thinking about like finding contractors and just hiring every little piece that it's been a pain in the butt for us to do and deal with. I think that's such a leg up and a benefit for someone like you who's out of state, where they have their whole team already built out, right? So all you have to do is essentially vet the company up front. And then, if you trust them, I guess, are you saying that you trust their picking all around for the rest of your property?
Yeah, I mean, they have the best like insight too on what rents well, like the designs. I think it's good because it's like, you're not spending a ton on some luxury place and like hoping it all works out. It's like they already have the knowledge of like what will work best. So that's why I do actually like working with PMs on this. They can help a lot with like handling everything. And yeah, like you mentioned, when you have property management companies, everything's so hands off. Like I don't really have to deal with like anything. So even the property an hour away, I never managed it myself. It was all like a PM company. So it just makes it so much more hands off. I love it. It
just gives us like, not like hope, but like the idea that once we get to this certain number, and yeah, we'll take a little bit of a hit in terms of the money coming in. But once you get to this certain number for us, and we can hand everything over, and it's going to free up our headspace to go find more deals and go and be active in trying to grow our portfolio. So, cause right now we spend time, not a lot of time, but some time dealing with tenants and maintenance and stuff like that. So it's very cool that, once you have that asset, you can change it and use it to kind of your advantage and your lifestyle. So
yeah, it allows you to like scale faster, I think, cause it just really frees up time.
Exactly. So one of the questions I have is like, how are you currently funding these deals? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, use private money, use other people's money, use hard money. And I think that when you first get started, it's actually easier to use your own because then you really learn the ropes. When you first got started, is it different than now, or how are you currently, and how did you previously fund these properties? Yeah.
So, with my first investment, like I was just, starting my day job and everything like that. I was, had recently graduated. So I didn't have like the 2-year income proof for like a conventional loan. So, for that one, actually, put both me and my brother's name on it. And we both put in our 50% of the down. And then I just like paid him back and put it under my name. And he was just nice enough to do that. And actually, I think like most of the deals, it's either cash or like just getting a conventional loan, to be honest. There was this package deal that I got like 2 single family homes and a duplex, where I basically worked with like a local small bank and basically got a 15% down payment with like, it was kind of like a business loan essentially. So a commercial loan. That's nice for that market that I can, work with them. They were a recommendation from the agent. So again, referrals are like the best. So essentially that's how I'm financing it right now. And also my boyfriend's actually a hard money lender. So like if we need to do something like that, like we could essentially use hard money and then refinance in the future or something like that. But I think that's more like prevalent for flip projects. If we decided we wanted to close quickly, we would use the hard money. And then if we decided to keep it, we'd probably refinance or something. But essentially, we're just using loans right now. Currently have 3 essentially. So like I know at 4 it'll get harder to get more loans. So I'm trying not to like use that one yet. So
I think that's a myth, actually. I don't know. I've heard that like it's actually the number's 10. It's like, I guess it depends on who you are, but yeah.
I think that there's like 2, it's like 4 and then 10 and then
got it.
Like all like a lot more like difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe you could give some actionable tactics for our listeners of like how, let's say they wanted to follow in your path in terms of, I guess specific to your real estate investment portfolio. Like what are some things that you would say that helped you get started, or some things that you did that if some listeners wanted to build their portfolio like you did? Yeah.
I would definitely start with researching the different criteria like for your target market. Like if it has population growth, like kind of what I mentioned before, income growth, job growth, population growth, lower crime rates. Start doing that research, start analyzing deals so you start getting a sense of how it all works. But I think my thing is like I took so long to like get started with out-of-state investing that I wish I picked up the phone earlier and like started calling agents and started like calling lenders and getting that pre-approval letter, all that stuff earlier, because I was just an introvert. Like I'm still an introverted person, but it's like it's out of my comfort zone to do those things. And I think that's probably a lot of people's fear of like, they don't know what to do to get started. They don't know who to call, all this stuff. So, I mean, essentially, call the agent, call the lender to get the pre-approval letter, start going to meetups too, start, networking, talking to people, actually start taking action. And then it becomes a lot easier afterwards. You just like understand the blueprint and you're like, all right, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. What are your, curious about what your future plans are with your real estate investment portfolio? I know that you said you kind of grew pretty quickly, 13 units by yourself, and then up to potentially 22. So like, what's the next step for you, Sharon?
Yeah, we were actually looking into a larger multifamily, like a 20 unit complex, but I think we're actually not going to do that because the return we're getting for like these single family homes is actually pretty good. But we're also kind of looking into flipping more. So my boyfriend has flipped a few deals and it's harder, like it's riskier, but it's a great way to like grow your capital if you can do it right, to start investing in more rentals. But it's insane. Like in the Bay Area, people are making 6 figures every freaking project. Like, and my boyfriend has done that as well. So we're trying to get into that and then like put that back into rentals. So kind of slowly growing our portfolio while possibly keeping an eye out for potential deals to flip in the future.
Cool. I will say we haven't gotten to this yet, but I know you touched on it a few times and you talked about building your brand. And I want to talk heavily on that because you know, obviously Corey and I, we said we started following your story. And at one point we were like, you were at about, I think it was like 60,000 followers. And I think maybe like a month or two later, you're now at like 103,000. Just, you built up this community that seems to love you and like takes your advice to heart. I've seen a bunch of different reels teaching on all these passive income streams and just things. If you could just talk about the brand and like how you have built it to the slow behemoth it's becoming, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I got lucky, to be honest. Like the start of quarantine and everything like that, I started making those TikToks, like making those short form videos, and that honestly blew up my stuff. Essentially, like those videos just get way more discoverability and awareness to your channel. Like they just bring in a bunch of new people. That whole 60 to 100 jump, I think honestly it was from one video getting like a few million views. So it's like, it can just change everything if you can get those viral videos. So when I was doing those TikTok videos, I made one that ended up getting viral. It was a real estate related thing. So I feel like people wanted to hear more about that. And I started making more of that type of content. And I think that helped grow stuff. I still think it's like a great opportunity for anyone now. Even though people think, oh, it's saturated or whatever, it's just about having like solid content that people watch through. If you can, have a longer watch time, that essentially will, I think, spread to more people if you can get that. So it's more on like the content quality. So if you do have high like content quality, you can get discovered even now, you know what I mean? So I think it's all doable.
I think it's a perfect storm for you where you've built up in years past, you've built up these income streams, right? And then now you're just growing your audience more and more. So they're already, these things that are already built, people can now go pick from them and decide what they want. You have your own little like online shopping, I don't know, business or I don't know how to really explain it, but like your whole brand funnels into each other. It's one like big cycle. So I think it's awesome and really cool for people to see, because it's not, you see people with a lot of followers every day, but they're not always providing quality content, if you know what I'm saying. A lot of people are dancing and doing and singing and cool things. It's great, right? They feel good, but it's not like you have actionable tactics on your page, which is awesome. And whether it's real estate, passive income, e-commerce, all that, I think, well, obviously, we highly recommend it. So.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So I think next we kind of want to transition into like digital nomad quest. And I don't know, like your design your life strategy and how you're teaching people and you're helping others build passive income. I mean, can you just talk about some of the courses that you offer and maybe what Digital Nomad Quest is all about?
Yeah, I mean, I started that like 5 years or 6 years ago. Essentially, it was starting to just document like my digital nomad journey. So when I was building those passive income streams, I was like, let me like record everything I'm doing so that people can start learning from it. So that's why I have all these different ones, because I was like, all right, cool, this one works. Let me move on to the next one and teach that. And that's kind of what I started doing with like all my platforms. And now like my courses, they teach Etsy, like how to create those digital products and sell them on the marketplace, and then blogging, like how to start making money from it, how to start building it to get more traffic. And then the remote rental riches, basically out-of-state investing step-by-step guide. And I wanted to offer your guys, listeners, your first 5 listeners, if you guys use the code JUICEPOD, you guys can get 20% off if you guys want to get remote rental riches. So I know you guys have a strong real estate investing following, so I'm sure some of them might be out-of-state investors or aspiring out-of-state investors. So.
You heard it here first. First 5 JUICEPOD is the code to use. If you're lucky enough to get there, you'll get 20% off of Sharon's course.
Yeah, we'll have it in the link tree in Instagram, and then I guess we can we'll put it in the show notes as well. So cool. Very cool, awesome. Rye, core 4. You think we move into it? I
think we do it.
Okay,
start basic.
So. The core 4 is we get to know you a little bit more personally, kind of what makes you tick, and I think it's 4 questions that all of our guests hear. So first question is, what is your favorite investing or business or maybe passive income book?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the 2 that jump started everything for me was like 4-Hour Work Week and Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel like everyone talks about those, but I still think they're like great to kind of change your mindset to be more like all about time and financial freedom and things like that.
Awesome.
Cool. Second question. What's been your biggest mistake that you've made in your investing career or in your, I guess, digital e-commerce space over time, and how you've learned from that mistake?
Yeah, I can't really think of too many mistakes so far. I mean, like I'm just all about, living with no regrets and just continue learning and everything. So I would say though, maybe if I started earlier, that'd be nice. I think everyone would say that though, but like real estate investing specifically, I was scared of making those calls. I was scared of like what to do, especially like out of state. I was like, I don't really know the area. I don't know how to get into it. So, getting over the fear and just like taking action, honestly, helps a lot earlier. Yeah.
Cool. Got it. Cool. Our third question is, who is your who for 2021 or 2021 moving into 2022? And by meeting this person, you feel your life or businesses could be taken to the next level. And if you don't have somebody specifically that you're looking to meet, maybe somebody that you have met that's helped you get to this point in your life and business life.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I also think it depends like what kind of meeting it would be. Like, is it some type of mentorship or something? Like, for example, I met Ryan Pineda like a couple weeks ago, was on a show. And, he's killing it, maybe even making like 7 figures a month, which is insane.
Wow. So, I did not know that. I follow him. I did not know he was making that much money. That's
yeah. He has like a bunch of different businesses. Like, he literally showed me like, oh, check out these teachable receipts today. And it was like a bunch of, it was just crazy.
Bunch of zeros.
Yeah. And it was like this morning. So I was like, okay. But I wasn't going to like bug him with a ton of questions. Like, I didn't want to be like that person, but I'm sure if I shadowed him or, got mentorship or something, I would learn a lot from him on the flipping side, 'cause that's like his investing strategy. But I guess he could be somebody like if I were, mentored by him or something. Another person I could think of, maybe like Amy Porterfield for like the entrepreneurship side, because she's like killing it with like Facebook ads and like email marketing and things like that. So just like leveling up, the online business side, that'd be pretty awesome. I guess those would be my two currently.
Cool. Those are great. I did not realize Ryan was such a beast. I knew he looked like it, but that's amazing. Very cool. Last question in the core four is, it is a little personal, but we want to know what your legacy is and what are you trying to get out of life here, doing all this investing and building businesses. Like, why do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the future, like I mentioned, I'd want to have a kid, like start a family, and I